Hey bookers, welcome back to Ibugu. Today we'll be doing an installment of The Bookshelf, which I previously did on my Instagram page as an Instagram live conversation or interview with a bookish friend. So I've decided to bring it on here and where possible do face-to-face conversations with people. So I'm very excited about today because it is our very first face-to-face conversation with a bookish friend. But before we jump into that, subscribe to my channel, share it with everybody you love, and definitely like this video and comment as we go along. So today I'll be chatting to Lerato Sedibe, a South African author who just recently dropped her first children's book called Let Me Tell You About My Family. This is the book, beautiful cover, so well illustrated as well. I really love the work by human design in this one. But this book is centered around the concept of it takes a village to raise a child. And through the story of little Buntle who has homework to do, she really introduces us to all the people that she considers part of her family. But before I tell you all about it, I would really love us to connect with Lerato on this book and everything bookish. Join me. Guys, Lerato is here, like I've said, and she is the face of the amazing book. Let me tell you about my family.
Make faces.
Make faces. Do the thing. Have fun. So, Lerato, I'd really like you to just tell us a bit about yourself before we jump into the book and everything else.
I'm a lover of words. Like, I describe myself like that a lot. And I think getting to this book was just a natural progression of that love of words. I am an introvert. Oh my gosh, like it's terrible.
I'm gonna say it's not terrible. It's one of the most beautiful things I feel.
But Lerato is mother to Arabile, who is probably the most beautiful human being I've ever come across, to be honest. Very family orientated, very passionate, and a lover of all things beautiful, words, music.
I am, and I was curious about this. Is your daughter the inspiration to Buntle in the book?
She is not.
Really?
Not directly.
Okay.
So she is the reason that the book exists, but not Buntle in particular.
Okay.
So I guess let's just dive straight into the book.
Sure.
Before I had her, I went on a book writing course, because I was like, if I'm gonna write books, I need to be serious about it. So I took a course.
You need to know how.
Yes. I mustn't cheat people.
Yeah.
So I took a course, and I knew I was going to write eventually, but I didn't have like a deadline or like a set time or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then she came along, and my love language changed. Like, I've always been like a quality time person, but then it like shifted drastically to acts of service.
Okay.
Because then I realized, so I find it very hard to ask for help. I don't ask for help. So if
Same.
we should start a club. We should really start a club. But then it became like I could no longer be that person. I could no longer be the person that tries to do everything by herself.
Yeah.
And then people started doing stuff, and I started like asking people to do stuff, and I was like it really does take a village. You know, like I saw it in my life, I saw it in action, and I was like, yo.
You need all these people.
I need all these people, you know, and like her nanny is incredible. Like she's amazing, and she's family, you know, and she's exposed to all these different people that she considers family. So I got the idea, that's what it is. That's what it's about. Family is not just limited to the people that you live with or like your blood relatives. It really takes a village. So that's how she indirectly influenced the existence of the book, but she's not the book.
She's not Buntle.
She's not Buntle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't tell her. Well, I'm glad you've already talked about how you came to write the book. because I was actually wondering, I know it's your first children's book, it's your first book that you've written. So I was wondering, like, how did you prepare yourself for this project?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said you obviously took it seriously and you went for a writing course.
Yeah.
I did not know that people could go for writing courses. Well, to write a book specifically, I know you can do writing and all of that, but not for a book specifically. So I find that quite incredible that you would invest in this project that much. I wouldn't really expect any less. If it's something that you really want to do, you obviously want to do it properly and sharp shoot, you know? So my next question, I suppose, is are there any plans to continue, make it a series, do more of?
So I don't know about a series. So I have ideas for other books, and not just children's books. I have a friend who keeps nudging me to write like other genres and stuff, and I'm like, you know, I'm a bit nervous. People have asked for like a book in vernac. And I get that. 100%. But let me tell you about my family has a rhyme scheme. So I can't translate it because then we lose.
Then you lose the whole rhyme
scheme. I'm ruminating about the next book, what that's gonna look like. But it'll definitely be separate from Let Me Tell You About My Family, because it's a standalone project
on its own.
So now it's okay, do I do a vernac book? And also in as much as I understand that the market needs that and they're asking for it, I also want to be authentic in my delivery. So I don't want to put too much pressure on myself to produce a book in vernac. So like I said, that's why
sometimes you can't just give people what they want.
Even though that's what Bonang Sessions do.
I know.
You can't always do it.
You know?
So definitely going to write more. It was a very interesting experience writing this book. Very, very interesting. And I share freely with everyone who asks how I did it. So it'll definitely get better like as we go along.
Of course.
With everything. But the writing process itself is still, it's a thing.
I'm always interested in the behind the scenes of something. So I always ask questions about that kind of stuff. Like, how long did it take you to write it? Why a children's book? Like, what must you do? If I say, okay, Lerato, I'm ready to just pen my own children's book, what are the, let's say, 3 things that you would say I must consider? Or 2, or 1, or 5, or 10?
Can you write? I'm kidding.
Well, that's the most important.
I'm kidding. I think with creatives, there's a certain grace I feel that creatives are given, which means that they see things through till the end. So it can get tough and it can get very frustrating. The idea of the book, like I said, it was a very natural process. But then I had to define, okay, I know what the narrative is, but how do I tell it? And then I was married to the idea of a rhyme scheme, because kids' rhyme scheme,
they grasp better that way.
So then now you've got the story, you know what you want to say, but now you have to make it rhyme. But in you can't force it. It can't, else it's just misplaced and it's like, what are you doing? So the creative process can get very, very taxing. So I'd say you need to give yourself grace, first of all. And you also just have to go all in, because I feel like your work represents your heart. So be authentic, go all in, and then just keep going. Keep going,
throwing it out there.
So sometimes you think people might look at the book and be like, okay, it's like X pages long. It couldn't have taken that long to write. But that's not, in reality, that's not how it works. And I mean, maybe for some people it's a lot easier. But for me, certainly it wasn't. So I just had to also remember the why. For doing this.
So did you have any things that you had to unlearn or let go of when you were writing this book? Because I'd imagine that children's books and children's literature has a certain level of innocence, purity of just fun and relatable kind of writing, right? Like it has to be easy. It has to be, I mean, it's not always like positive, great stories, because obviously the kids need to learn lessons from these books, right? But as an adult, you already have certain perceptions set and expectations of certain situations. Did you have to let go of certain thoughts before you could write this book, before you could really be open and objective when writing the story?
I had to think, like, so the book is targeted at 4 to 6 year olds, right? And the innocence of kids, like, I had to channel that. Because as adults, we get so set in our ways, and we have certain parameters within which we operate, and I was like, as a kid, like, if the security guard at the complex, for example, like, Wabi loves the security guards, you know, and she's always asking about them, and she knows them by name, and like, you know, they get to be family because they want to find out how she's doing and all of that. And I'm like, I wouldn't consider them a part of my village, but from a kid's point of view, like, that's your uncle, you know what I mean? The teachers at school, like, that's they become your family, you know, because they're so invested in the kids' growth and the kids' life. And so I had to open up myself to that, to say, okay, what is family, and also challenge how I viewed family. Because honestly, prior to having Wabi, it wasn't, for lack of a better expression, it wasn't that deep. But you become a lot more conscious of things once you're in a different, whether you're married or whether you have a child, you know, then your whole frame of mind changes. So I was like, okay, if I was a 4 to 6 year old, you know, and the people that I interact with, who would I consider family? So
I really loved that. I think on like the 3rd page, I was like, oh, this is
I'm glad you want to evoke emotion, you know, because in as much as it's targeted at children, it really is also targeted at adults as well. So I'm glad that it evoked emotion even in.
Well, I loved it. Big people. I love it. And I'm wondering, from the little people, how has the reception been?
So the rhyme scheme definitely works.
Okay.
It definitely works. And it's the feedback that I've gotten from little people that have read it is that, like, they grasp the concept. They get it. And for me, that's like very important, because sure, it's a nice book, but so what? You know? So they do grasp it, and that's
great.
Job.
I think I think also when it comes to children's book, like I said earlier, it really is the lesson that is learned behind. It's not necessarily how the story is told, but what you learn from the story, and that's really what you want to land with the little guys, right?
Absolutely. And when I took the course, they're like, even though you're trying to land a message, you must land it in such a way that it doesn't feel like you are trying to land a message, because then they will resist it, because
they'll get bored.
Exactly. Like, no, this is a lesson, I don't want it. So you have to couch it in such a way that they learn something without consciously realizing that they're learning it. So it's a bit of mind games, really.
Mind games, really. What would you like parents to know about this book?
Taking it a step back, it's what I would want adults to know, because true to the nature of the book and what it talks about, like, you don't have to be a parent to buy the book, you know what I mean? Like, you can be a rich aunt and, like, buy the book.
Rich aunt over here.
Exactly. I want them to open up their worlds a little bit more. I think there's a lot of there's beauty in expanding your children's horizons, and giving them as many perspectives as they can find, because life isn't uniformed, and we're made a lot more richer based on what we expose ourselves to. So to do that, I want them to know that it's okay to, like, make the circle bigger, make the circle bigger, and
I think on that note, I'm interested to know where you are in your life right now. Like, if you had to name this chapter of your life, what would it be?
It would be ruminations.
Ruminations. So deep. That is so deep.
It's funny you should say deep because ruminating is about being deep.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've always been an overthinker. I think I may have mentioned that to you. But
when I do this, I relate. I'm just like, oh, I know.
Yeah. But I've found that over the last, let's say 6 months, I'm ruminating, man. I'm just like thinking deeply about the decisions that I make. Like, I'm a lot more conscious of the decisions that I make, whereas before, you tend to make certain decisions because you've always made them. Now I'm just
you just move along.
Exactly. Now I'm like, okay, wait, let's think about this. I'm a lot more conscious when it comes to like how I raise or arabile.
Yes.
Very, very conscious. So I think a lot about that. I think about the sort of environment I'm providing for her to thrive in.
Yeah.
And like a lot of conscious parenting. So I think a lot about that. I think a lot about how I present myself. I think a lot about the life that I'm trying to build for myself and for her, and then I ruminate about how we're gonna get there. You know, like I'm very, very mindful, a lot more than I previously was. So
that's beautiful, though.
It is a little bit of overthinking, but not so much. I think this is a lot more constructive.
Yeah.
A lot more deliberate.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's not in a like self-sabotaging.
Yes, and then like go down a rabbit hole. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. I would think only positive things could come of that.
Absolutely.
And just be more aware of where you are in your life and how it impacts, your baby, how it impacts your family and the people around you. Definitely. So I love that.
I think it's nice.
Yeah.
Everyone must ruminate.
Come on. Ruminate, guys. Ruminate. I think I'll do that this afternoon.
Yes.
Ruminate.
Yes.
On a lighter note, what are you reading?
2 books. So the first one, my best friend gifted me. We love best friends. We love best friends. We also love best friends that give books.
Yes.
We also love best friends that give books that make sense.
Yes.
Because in the beginning of the year, so my birthday is on the 18th of January. So in the beginning of the year, I got a scripture for the year, and it's the one about anxiety, Philippians 4, verses 6 to 7. And so that's my scripture. Like, I have it on the back of my phone. Like, it's just it's my thing for the year.
That's your thing for the year.
So she got me a book by Joyce Meyer. Do Not Be Anxious.
Yeah.
I think that's the title. Do Not Be Anxious.
Yeah.
So I love it because it's a very, like, it's practical, because I can be like, oh, I'm not going to be anxious, but like, read the book, find tools to help you not be anxious. You know, I like that. I like that it's a very thoughtful gift, man. So it's like, The second book is a book by Atticus, The Truth About Magic. It's a poetry book, and I got it a week ago, I think. Yeah, like spoke about it in passing to a friend, and
nice. I haven't heard about that one. I'll check it out.
Atticus. I love Atticus because he doesn't use a lot of words, but you just like, wow,
you get it. So minimal. Deep.
Yeah, and I think like poetry is definitely my first love.
And who are your local favorites?
So the past few years, I haven't like read a lot. It's just been really hectic and like settling into motherhood and all of that. Like,
and
so now I'm like, okay, she's a bit older now. I can like build a routine around her that also is just about me. Yeah. Which I hadn't done for a long time. So now I'm like, okay, cool. I want to read a lot more because I miss it. I miss it a lot. So I want to collect more books and then just like
have your moments.
Have my moments, like put it down to bed at night and then just read.
Yeah.
So I've started doing that with the Joyce Meyer book. So I'll definitely be doing a lot more of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I wanted to also say, tell us where we can get your book.
So we're distributing it ourselves, and by ourselves I mean my cousin and I, who is amazing. Shout out to Charlotte Akani Masego. So we use a courier company to deliver.
Yeah.
They usually deliver like the next day.
Yeah.
And there's a WhatsApp line. I'll have to give it to you because I don't know it off by heart.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just WhatsApp, you pay, it's 150
Yeah.
a copy. And then you get the cost of the shipping or whatever, and then
All right.
and then you get the book.
Awesome. I'll link all of that in our
Yes, please.
comments, cards, whatnots down below. Awesome. I think that is it.
Is that it?
Is that it?
Is it?
Is that it? Could that be it?
Cannot be it.
More. Could be it. Okay, we're going crazy. But guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you, Lerato, for making time and coming to tell us all about your book and yourself and your bookish life. Love it, love it, love it. And hopefully we'll be chatting to you again soon.
Yes, soon. Thank you for having me. It's been quite a ride, and to actually like come here and talk about the book it feels surreal. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very much. I'll be back soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.